Hello and welcome to the Point to Rise show. This is your host, Susanne, former international ballerina that found her passion in mindset, business, and technology, and is today the founder of Rise Media. It is my purpose to use all the experiences of my past to create a better, financially sustainable future for the performing arts industry. And that starts with every single one of us. I believe that being you is your superpower. And I am here to guide you, empower you, inspire you, and give you all the resources you need to rise above what you think you're capable of. Every week, I'll bring you 3 shows featuring guests, collaboration, and mini episodes to ensure that you have the support in your journey as a performer. I want you to know that you are not alone. Stop chasing and start creating. Your success starts now, here with you. So let's go. And we are back, Cultivating Happier Dancers. Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to be back with you guys. Yay! We've had already a quick little pre-chat. These pre-chats are the best, I have to say. So today we are going to talk about how to cultivate a growth mindset in the dance studio, and how we have put out together our frame. I'm going to start with a story today, and I think I'm going to use that as a lesson on how important it is that we're really implementing a growth mindset, particularly in the studio, because that fixed mindset that had been instilled in me has made its way through a very, very long time through my life. Okay, so going back, I'm 10 years old. I just made it through 3 days of grueling auditions for the State Ballet School in Berlin. It's a huge deal that you actually got accepted, and an even bigger deal that you actually got accepted into the school. I think we had like 800 people attend, and we were 35 that were sitting in that big meeting room. And the director of the school was standing in front of us. And please don't forget, I was 10 years old. Yeah. The director was standing in front of us, and what he was saying, like, all I remember that first sentence, I was so excited. I was like, I made it. Oh my gosh, like my life is going to turn out great. And he said, I don't want to put up any false hopes, and I'm a very honest person. So I'm going to just tell it like it is. There is no superstar in this crowd, in this class. There is nobody in here that has the talent to be a prima ballerina or a great dancer in a large company. And I'm like, my balloon was so deflated in that moment. Like, I went outside and I cried. It's like, wow, you just popped my bubble. You just popped my possibilities. Okay. So now I forgot about this event, and that actually did not come back to me until about a year ago, that this sentence really had made its way through my entire career, because years and years of hard work. And I was like, well, what if I could, like, what would it look like if I could actually become better? And so I worked really hard, and I graduated as the top in my class. I got the job that I wanted. And then when I was there, I would start manipulating myself so I would not be the best. I would start manipulating myself, drinking and not showing up for rehearsals. And I did not understand until really, really much, much later in life where that really came from. So I'm using that story so we can actually see, even though we want to give the gift of honesty, but this had such a big, I would say, result in my life that I don't think we can take that responsibility as teachers anymore, meaning that this kind of fixed mindset, having that in yourself and putting it out and onto your students, is not what I would recommend anymore.
Absolutely.
So, there we go. Story. I'm tingling. I'm like a little choked still talking about it. However, we don't know what we don't know. So this is what we're talking about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's so hard today. And even before we get into talking about it, I've had many of those same experiences, and I have worked with other educators that have been on the other side of it that just call it tough love. And I think it's so important to learn how to speak in the dance studio to our dancers, where we hold them to a high standard, but we don't crush their ambition, and we don't set up a fixed mindset for the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, the way that we were all taught, and there's still residue of it today, the environment in dance studios are very much supporting fixed mindsets. That's sort of been the tradition before there were even words for it. And now that we have words for it and science behind it, and people are understanding what a fixed mindset even is and how to get out of that and what a growth mindset is, we can all start making the necessary changes to create an environment in our studio that really cultivates growth mindsets. Because as you say, Susanne, this isn't just something, your fixed mindset doesn't start at 7:30 on a Wednesday night when you go to your jazz class and end at 9 p.m. when you leave and go do your homework. I mean, this is, these are brains that are growing and creating identities for the rest of these young dancers' lives. And so this is really important stuff. And I'm super psyched to be talking about the science behind it, because there's so much of it. And most of it comes from a woman named Carol Dweck. She's a psychologist who wrote Mindset, the New Psychology of Success. There's the book.
Yes.
If you haven't read it from front to end, cover to cover, at least 17 times, do it, because every single time there's like another thing in there. My book is covered with Post-its and highlights and scribbles, and I think I need another one because I'm like, I can't even read it anymore. But there's so much stuff in there. So a couple things. I want to talk about 4 pieces that I think are helpful in this conversation. So last time we were together, we talked about what a fixed mindset is and what a growth mindset is, right? Fixed mindset, to summarize, is sort of a belief that you are what you are. You are fixed. Your talents are what they are, and that's it. Growth mindset is, I can grow and I can learn and I can get better. So why are these 2 things so important in the dance studio? Well, for a couple of reasons. Self-esteem. Studies showed, number one, that most people, just in general, are terrible at estimating their abilities. Most people don't think that they can do what they can actually do. So Carol Dweck and her team looked into this, and they were like, why is this happening? And who are the people that aren't believing in themselves? And they found that those with the fixed mindset were those who accounted for almost all of the inaccuracy. And those with the growth mindset were amazingly accurate about their abilities. So if you are suffering from a fixed mindset, right, you're not believing in what you are actually capable of doing. Susanne, coming back to your story, so you start pulling yourself out of these situations, and you wind up taking opportunity away from yourself. You wind up self-sabotaging. And then that's how everybody else starts seeing you, right? Because you're creating this in your own mind, and then your behavior strengthens that. And then people see you as that.
Exactly. And if I just may add here, you don't even know that you're doing that. Your subconscious mind is creating these events for you. It will make you take certain actions, and you are not conscious of them. And I just want to add something else, that research you talked about, I have exactly that same page open because I wanted to read that paragraph because it is so mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Great. Okay. The next part of it is confidence. So you can see how this rolls right into confidence. People with the fixed, this is what Carol Dweck's research showed. People with the fixed mindset have just as much confidence as people with the growth mindset before anything happens. Now, this is the rub, right? So you walk into the room and you're like, oh yeah, I feel great, I can do it. Everybody's sort of on the same page. But then, as you can imagine, those with a fixed mindset, their confidence is super fragile, because once something happens that was not in the plan, everything goes down. Their confidence completely plummets. because in their brain, people with a fixed mindset believe that risk and effort are two things that might reveal you as inadequate and show you to be a fake and a failure. So the minute you're called to take a risk or to put in effort, right, which is the moment where something happens that you're not suspecting or that you're not expecting, and you have to do something on the fly, your confidence plummets, you're not able to do it. And then again, we come into this situation where, yep, I knew it, I'm terrible. That just told me that, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The third thing, yes.
Sorry, but here's what comes in for me. This wraps up my experience in the ballet world. Just that one paragraph, all of that is exactly what we're seeing on a daily basis in most studios, in most companies. And it would be such an easy fix if people would be starting to educate themselves and read the books that are free in the library, or you can listen to it on YouTube.
Yes. Yes, you can listen to us. Two more things. So this goes right into failure, right? So failure, for those with a fixed mindset, failure is not just an action, it becomes an identity. And once failure is your identity, then they define you. Failures don't just set you back, they are who you are. And then again, you're stuck in this loop of not wanting to take risk, not wanting to put in effort because you don't believe that you can change and grow, because you believe that you are stuck as you are, as a failure. So why these three things are so important, obviously, they tie so beautifully into your story, Susanne, and we see this in the dance studios again and again and again. Why? Because the mindset of creating champions almost always pushes into this fixed mindset pattern. And this is what we can change as educators. So when we are in the dance studio, who gets the most praise? People with natural endowment, people with given gifts, people who seem to do it, without much effort, and, oh, they just have it. They have it. Look at that. Look at that. Let's all look and learn from them. As opposed to really, really celebrating and placing our attention on the people who are growing and learning at whatever pace they are doing it. We immediately go to those who have it. They have it. Let's all watch them come out here, do 8 counts because they've got it, And I understand where that comes. Of course, we all do as educators. It's like we want them to see, oh, look, this is what it should look like. But really, that's doing more harm than good. And when people live in that environment, when they're training in that environment, they have real difficulty thinking and believing that that growth is possible. And so this fixed mindset is an environment that we are actively cultivating as educators if we don't do something to change it.
And the steps that you can take in the dance studio as a dance educator to change it are fairly simple, even to start dancers, on a path of, as you said, like embracing failure and looking at growth over time. One of the things dancers have a little bit of a problem with is looking long-term, right? So we think from day to day, we look at 6 months ago, it seems like forever ago. But one of the things dance educators can do is to have students write themselves a failure letter. Have students sit down, give them a piece of paper, and have them write down something that they've failed at recently on that piece of paper, fold it up, put it in a sealed envelope, and just put it away for 6 months. Then 6 months later, pull that envelope out. They can read that failure, and chances are it has either become completely insignificant, or they can look at it and go, oh my gosh, I failed at my double pirouette. Now my double pirouette's amazing. Look how much I've grown, and how much that seemed like a huge thing back then and is not as big of a thing right now. Another thing I like to do is have dancers do research. There are tons of interviews with successful dancers that are, on YouTube online, who have made mistakes, who have, there's like ballet bloopers that are like the best, watching people take risks and fail and still be the most fantastic, successful dancers is so empowering. And embracing that failure in the classroom too is so important. When someone, makes a mistake or forgets or falls, whatever, one of my favorite things that dancers do is applaud for someone that falls down during dance class. I love it. And that can help dancers get into a mindset of it's okay to fail, because failure is growth, and growth is much more important than what we're born with and what our, genetics gave us. Yeah.
Ugh, so much to say to that, because listen, to this day, and I'm in my 40s, I struggle with failure, meaning being okay with not doing something right? It's when we're putting the validation of ourselves on the outside and hoping that somebody else is going to tell us that we're great and good enough. When we are failing or when we're doing something wrong and we're not getting that, we're identifying ourselves with failure. I heard a really beautiful example. A family has this tradition that at night they're sitting at the table and the dad asks around their three girls, okay, tell me, what did you fail at today? And they make it a huge thing, as in, I am so proud of you. Great job. I don't want to talk about your successes. I want to hear what didn't go the way you wanted it to go. I want you to embrace it, because that is your next step. And switching that mindset, particularly for educators in the studio, is a challenge. Like, let's be honest. I'm sure it's a challenge for you guys too. And please not. Yeah. Okay, great. So because,
Yes.
because we think we're not worthy if we're not doing everything right. Even sometimes it went all the way back to our childhood with our parents, where, perhaps we had to be perfect in order to earn love. It is so important that we are aware of that. And it is so important to know that it can be changed at any given point. We just have to decide to do so and understand that it's not the way that we know right now is not the only way.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's, as Michelle pointed out, there are ways to create a better environment. There are ways to cultivate a growth mindset. And I think the first step is to figure out, as an educator, are you coming from a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? Because for most of my life, I was fixed. And I could probably say I still, 80% of the time, my immediate instinct is fixed mindset. And it takes a lot of work for me to move into that growth place. And so if you look at yourself and the way that you think, because when you're in a class, right, your automated responses come out as feedback to your students. So just check those and make sure that they're coming from a place that you want them to come from, instead of just your automatic response. And to Suzanne's story, you could create someone with a growth mindset for the rest of their life, as opposed to a fixed. And to Michelle's points, there are a ton of ways to do it. And I love that, like, celebrating the failure stuff, because that really is important. No one's life is going to go the way that you planned. No one's life ever goes the way you expected. Not an hour goes by that goes according to plan. And so to get really good at believing in yourself and your abilities and being confident enough to take risks on the fly is going to take you everywhere. If you don't have that, your life is going to be full of suffering, unnecessary suffering.
I don't think it's only suffering. Oh, sorry. It's also that you're going to stay in a very safe place, that you will have a lot of regrets.
Yeah.
And if there is something that's eating a person up from the inside out, it's regret, because you can't change it anymore, right? So
yeah.
Last thought, my darling.
I think that a fixed mindset closes our perspective to other opportunities that are out there. And I think so many dancers get stuck on one thing that they think they're going to do, whether it's from their educator or not, or from our, you know, our society that says you have to be the principal dancer with American Ballet Theater or you have failed. There are so many, especially now. Look at us doing a podcast. Like we all thought, you know, we all started out dancing in the ballet studio, and there are so many different ways to succeed in the world today that opening yourself up to a growth mindset can also open yourself up to opportunities, which can fulfill your life in so many different ways than, you know, doing a perfect quadruple pirouette and swan lake.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Well,
Yay.
if this was helpful for you, if whatever your takeaway was, we would like to know. So leave us a review, share this podcast episode with somebody you think can really learn from and make an impact. Share your biggest takeaway on Instagram. And I'm going to up this one today. Go over to YouTube, watch this video, or even just click on it, subscribe to the channel, and tell us what we're wearing today, because it's really funny, really. And this is not coordinated, just saying that. Okay, you guys, adopt the growth mindset.
There's a PDF available.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, grab your PDF. Grab your free PDF that have exercises to do in the classroom to cultivate growth mindset. So pop in your email. Link will be in the show notes, right?
That's right. Yep. And all you have to do is put your email in it, and it will be in your inbox in a heartbeat. All right, guys, sending you so much love. Sharing is caring. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.